But we're going to get it together, though, for sure, man. Anyway, y'all know how we do, man. This is episode 31 of the Gray Beards Matter podcast, where we are the mature authority. And I'll be remiss, man, if I ain't take a moment to shout out my Uncle Sidney Jones, who passed away yesterday. He is, I don't do the coincidence thing, so his passing and the topic that we had on tonight, let's talk man to, and you can fill the blank in, is how he moved and conducted himself all the time. You had to talk to him like a man, and he had no problem telling you what was on his mind and shooting it to you straight. But that's just how they from that family. You did. So I want to send a strong, big, heartfelt, sincere condolences to the Jones family, to the Pondswood crew, man. We we uh we didn't take a L, he took a W. You understand me? So rest in peace, Uncle Sid. This episode is dedicated to you. For sure. Now on the further business. Y'all know what it is, man. It's your man Big Klip Eastwood, aka Mr. Gray Beards Matter. You know what I mean? And it's been a long week. So we're gonna start it off real simple, real simple. I got some questions. Your Godfather, I need your input, B. DJ, I need your input. We're gonna let the others catch up as they catch up, dig? Right? So I'm gonna say this real simple, like, right? I don't like y'all because y'all lie, right? You're manipulative. You don't fuck. You don't give a f about what's going on around you. You don't care about your damn selves. And that's gonna get somebody hurt. Now let me say that a little differently, right? Let me say that a little differently. I don't respect how you operate. You're dishonest. You're manipulative. You have no regard for what's happening around you. You only care about yourselves. And that mindset is going to get somebody hurt. Same message, same impact. Which one carry more authority, though? That's my question out the gate, right? Which one carry more authority, the first one or the second one? Let's talk about it. It's real simple, though, right? So tonight, it's easy. It's not about cursing, you know. But I slip up every once in a while. I have cursed. Y'all know that. Tonight is about whether the way I communicate helps my message or gets in the way of it. So we're gonna go through a couple things, man, and we're gonna figure it out, right? Then we're gonna ask myself, who am I talking to? Let's talk man to, you know what I mean? And it's dot dot dot. You fill it in, right? Is a man to, woman to? What's good? I had a couple questions beforehand. People always say my motto, right? Gray Beards Matter podcast, where we are the mature authority. And the question came up like, what does that mean? Like, what is you are the mature authority? And you also say real people, real experiences, real conversations, right? And I was like, yeah, for sure. Um, as the Gray Beards Matter host, I can't call myself the mature authority if I'm unwilling to be the man behind the microphone who holds that same standard, right? So how can I always want to get down and crash out if I'm saying I'm the mature authority? And I'll tell y'all, we're gonna take our time because I really want some dialogue, and I see my good man Big Chuck is in the building. What's up, Big Chuck? Hey, we talking our talk tonight, man. I'm glad you're here. I hope you can stick around for a while, good brother. because your input is always welcome, and I know that uh, you can relate to a couple questions, and being the type of man that I know you are, I'm sure that you can relate to some of the choices that need to be made, right? And I'm gonna go back for you, Big Chuck, and because you are faithfully here. But see, okay, Godfather, I like that, right? And we're gonna spin the block for Big Chuck right quick. So Big Chuck, the first question was, well, I got two things, right? And then I want you to see what my man Godfather says. That's Eric Mosley, because y'all haven't had a chance to meet in person, but he's stamped, he's official. That's my guy. First version. I don't like y'all because y'all lie. You're manipulative. You don't give a f about what's going on around you. You only care about yourself. That's gonna get somebody touched or hurt. Now, saying it differently, I don't respect how you operate. You're dishonest and manipulative, and you have no regard for what's going on around you. You only care about yourself, and eventually that behavior is going to get somebody hurt. Same message, same impact, but the question is, which one holds more authority? I'm gonna give Big Chuck a second to come on in. Godfather, I appreciate you chiming in, man. Hey, Godfather, I'm gonna wait to see what Big Chuck say. I'm gonna see what he likes. Number one and number two. Then we're gonna touch on that, right? Then we're gonna really get busy tonight because I got two good men here. DJ, what's cracking with you? You done left it to us? All right, cool. No pressure. I know you'll be back. What you think, Big Chuck? One or two? Again, Godfather say, yo, the second one, all they can is respect what you said. No doubt. But the shoe, Godfather, the type of man that I know you are, that's the respect is it's not optional, right? And we're giving them the option, right, by talking to them in that manner to keep the disrespect off the table. But don't trip though, Godfather. We gonna come back to that. I'm glad you said that. I really am, right? Like I said, tonight ain't about cursing. It's not saying I curse. I know I do. I have. And tonight is about how I communicate, whether the way I communicate helps me get my message across or it gets in the way of it. Right? Um, so what is a mature authority? That was a question that led us to this whole episode, getting it in the way we do. Gray beards matter. Uh, my man Big Chuck says it doesn't. I don't really know. It can either depend on the day and the situation. I agree with you on that, Big Chuck. I agree with you, and it's just crazy you say that, right? Both of you are both of your answers um, can be applicable to a later on note. But let's talk about right. So, um, what is a mature authority? Overdid, right? Gray beards matter. We don't chase the drama. We don't do the jumping on the bandwagons type stuff. We are not manufacturing conversations for views, right? It's real conversations, real experiences, real people. That whether that be through an interview or the people or going back and forth with my good loved ones in the chat like we are tonight, right? Um, and when it's time, when it's a topic that I don't feel that I have the authority to speak on, or I don't want the the fam to get anything misconstrued or lead it down a path that could be questionable, then we're gonna have somebody in here that is a subject matter expert, and then there's gonna be no dialogue. It'll just be a conversation where the questions come out, whether it be through myself or through those of you, and we're gonna talk about it, right? And that's what the whole point is, right? But I can tell you this right here. Um, being the man behind the microphone, I'm gonna hold myself to that standard, right? So they got this little thing that they say all the time, right? the people go around chopping it up and all this here talking about matching energy. All right. So let me ask y'all this, right? Let me ask you this, Godfather, Big Chuck. This matching energy thing, why? Why is that? Like, why? Okay, like, so if they come in ignorant, not act ignorant, now we both ignorant. They yelling, now I start yelling, now we having a yelling contest, right? And if they get disrespectful, then I feel like I got something to prove, so I'm gonna be more disrespectful. When I don't do that, they say, no, I'm not matching your energy. I'm maintaining mine, right? That's what's going on for real. That's how I feel about it. I'm not gonna match your energy. I'm gonna ask mine. I'm gonna maintain mine. And when I do that, I got a question for you. If I don't do that, or if you don't do that, if somebody doesn't do that, and they go around matching energies, right, and all that. My question would be then, if your behavior determines my behavior, then which one of us is actually in control? I'm gonna pause on that, and I'm hoping somebody here to want to talk about it. If your behavior determines my behavior, which one of us is actually in control? What you think, Big Chuck, Godfather, DJ? Right? I'm gonna hold that there. I want that question to be pertinent. Hold on, matter of fact, let me see something. Let's see if I can do this here. All right, and boom. That's the question I want everybody to kind of get a hold of. That's the question. If your behavior determines mine, then which one of us is controlled? Because see, what people get confused, I'm really putting this politically tonight, is that they think that if you maintain your energy, it's a sign of weakness. You're avoiding smoke. Nah, that ain't it at all. I'm not being weak. I'm not avoiding smoke. Muff, you don't get to dictate which version of me shows up. That's what I'm telling you. Because your intention might be for to have the messed up version of me show up. Let me rephrase that. It's not the messed up version of me. I'm gonna say the unrefined version of me, right? That might be the person that you poking at, that you want to get out because you know that brings something with that. But then to keep it a buck, you know what they say, gotta be careful what you ask for. But I'm really trying not to get on that tonight. I'm really trying to prove a point. Get a message across. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get a message across. My man Big Chuck says, to me it depends on the level of disrespect that was put in my direction. I hold my own till you cross the limit for sure. That's always, big bro. The Godfather says you don't let someone take your joy or your peace. So Godfather, then you're saying that we're on the same page. Then that you're going to control you. That you're not going to let anybody dictate which version of you comes to the conversation, right? Because if they come to the party, then that's a different type of environment, right? And then most time, let me slow down. Most of the time, um, if the other version of you comes to the party, people really don't want to boogie, right? So again, it's not a sign of weakness. I'm just not gonna let another person dictate which version of Klip shows up, and it's really not for them. It's not me giving them a pass. I'm giving me a pass because I understand, like bro said, them consequences, man. They're not in the moment, man. Them consequences are not in the moment. Consequences linger through the calendar, man. I'm trying to tell you. I'm not telling you a theory. I'm telling you what I know. I experienced it. I experience it to this day. Consequences based off of you letting another person dictate which version of you comes to the party is not in the moment, right? That's not you controlling you. That's not you being who you're supposed to be, right? Again, you don't get to decide which version of Klip Eastwood shows up. It's not what we're doing. Where we at in the comments, man? What's going on here? Okay, all right. So when we do that, right? When we dictate which version of us shows up in that moment, we are preventing our reaction from becoming a story, right? Like for example, like somebody lies to you and you know they're lying and you explode, you go off, right? And 5 minutes later, when y'all going back and forth, you're not even talking about the lie no more. You're talking about how that how you yelling and using profanity and the disrespect that comes along with all that, right? And then you're like, dang, ain't it interesting how we got away from what you did to how I'm reacting, right? See how the emotional display sometimes take away from the point, and that's the scapegoat, right? Then you lose control of of not the narrative, right? You lose control of what the issue is, right? Because narratives and issues aren't the same thing, right? Issue, it's kind of hard to dispute. A narrative is something that can be easily manipulated if you got to manipulate a person. And then if they are going off of how you showed up in reactions from an emotional standpoint, then, and not acknowledging the reason why you came to them to begin with, well, they changing the narrative to get out the hot seat. And that's going to piss you off even more than like what have we accomplished? You did? Right? Because when that happens, we can't excuse ourselves, right? We know the deal, right? But see, two things can be true at the same time. One, they were wrong, and one, I was wrong for addressing them the way I wanted to address them, or I chose to address them. And because I was wrong on how I responded, now I got to be accountable to me for not getting the result that I wanted because I let somebody else take me out of of me, right? I ain't control me. I ain't control how I wanted to show up. I let the version that could have a consequence prevail again. But at the same time, like my man Godfather said out the gate, say what you mean. But he also said, be careful for the consequences. So here we are again, Godfather, I don't like you. Or I don't like how you operate. One communicates emotions, right? And one communicates observation, and it presents a boundary. And it's not really hard to tell which one is which. One communicates an emotion, one sets up an observation and a boundary. So which one is more important to us in our demographic, right? In our age bracket. right? And it's not even the age bracket thing, because my youngins is way younger than me. But I would hope that they would have the same distortion too to prevent them from getting in the same things that their daddy got into, because I didn't have the distortion at that age, right? And don't get me wrong, just because I'm older now don't mean I'm perfect, how I react or how I want to get down with my communication, because consequences aren't in the moment. Damn, Eastwood. And see, this is something that I'm gonna have a transparency moment real quick, right? So part of my issue when I was younger is stuttering, right? And I'm not saying I'm over it. That's not the case. It is truly situational, right? If I'm passionate about something, happy or angry, bothered, it can come up, and I dislike that, right? If I'm in a happy mood, it's less of a reaction. But if I'm in a negative space and the stutter comes up, it has potential to get worse. Not the stutter, the situation, right? And because I wasn't mature enough to know how to figure out how to navigate certain situations like that when I was younger, consequences came up. Let's just say that, right? So back to I don't like you versus I don't like how you operate. Emotion versus observation and boundaries, right? And then the words that I chose to communicate my message, or were they merely communicating how I felt? And then if that's the case, over dig, it's not about using proper English and all that slang. You can curse, you can do all that. It sound like yourself. It's about me having the ability to go up or down how I'm gonna communicate. And sometimes, like Godfather said, like Big Chuck said, is profanity adds emphasis. And sometimes it's the only thing that they remember when you come out your mouth with. You can say 1,000 words, and all they hear is you say BS somewhere in between there. And they lose the whole point of it all, because that's all they remember. They're looking for the negative. They're looking for the escape. The damn. They lose all accountability. This is crazy, man. It's crazy, right? Speaking of accountability, I got another one for you. Or I got another question for you. I know that some folk that's on here tonight, even though we only got a couple of viewers, have been doing for the last 23 minutes. You've been trying to assign the episode to somebody. It could be your spouse, your partner, co-worker, brother, sister, boss, friend. Figuring out, who is that? Like, who does that? Here's a question. Yo, my guy, Big Hammer's in the building. Put some respect on my guy. That's my guy. That's little bro. It's cracking. Here's the question, though. Did your name ever come up? Huh? Did your name ever come up? Because it's crazy how accountability works. Let me get back up here. Accountability is amazing when somebody else is being held accountable, huh? Woo! What? Eastwood, tell them again. I said accountability is amazing when somebody else is being held accountable. But you know what's crazy though? Sometimes your explanation is valid and you can still be accountable. We just rapping tonight, man. We just talking man to whatever, right? Man to man, man to woman, man to boss, man to spouse, man to homeboy, man to little bro, man to big bro. A man. Let's talk. Like for example, when I say that your explanation can be valid and you can still be accountable, like for you were tired, angry, hurt. Maybe they disrespected you first, and then your context that you come out with and how you react is looking to be excusable behavior. And you acknowledge it. You was accountable, but did you get off what you needed to get off, or was your reaction and how you reacted, whether it be verbal, hopefully non physical, because the laws ain't playing out here. They don't want to hear. Well, you should have heard what this mother beep said. Nah, they're gonna ask you a series of questions before they put that jewelry on you, right? And they're not gonna excuse your behavior, and they're gonna put you in front of that man or woman with that black robe with some type of other person with wearing jewelry standing next to their left or right behind a whole bunch of wood telling you to raise your right hand. And then you can talk about how you want your behavior excused. Yeah. I'd rather tell 12, pull it up, say, hey man, I'll just talk to that man like a man or that person like a man. And they didn't like the way I said and they approached me and I had to otherwise de-escalate the situation as fast as I can. However, I needed to leave David Banner alone, right? But then a lot of times you get folks come on here, right, in life, not just on here, and they'll be like, "Yo, y'all know me. That's how I am." But how long are you allowed to use that as an excuse? That's just how I am, or who you willing to become. But that's who you are. But is that a reason or an excuse? I'm gonna bring myself into it. People who knew the old clip may be thinking like, "Yo, who is this dude here talking about controlled communication?" Him? What? That's fair, right? Never been no rah rah cat, but like I said, I hated the stutter, and reactions are a form of communication, right? So that's my point. If I'm responding at this stage of life exactly the way I did 20, 30, 40 years ago, what have I learned? Right? If I'm responding the same way I did 20, 30, 40 years ago, I mean the exact same way, or a variance of it, what have I learned in 20, 30, 40 years? See, what we need to understand is growth doesn't deny the old you existed. That's not it. The old you just doesn't have to make that decision every time anymore. That's growth. When you take yourself or find yourself in a similar situation that you have been in before and you react differently because you've been there, done that, and you find that you have an alternative than putting yourself in a situation again, you're not giving them a pass, you're giving you a pass. But we just having a conversation, we're just talking man too. You feel the range in. It's all good. So one thing's for sure, two things for certain. We don't talk to everybody the same way, right? This is a fact. We talk about it in my house, talk about outside my house. We don't talk to folks the same way. You don't talk identically the same way you do to your boys, your spouse, your co-workers, or your boss, an expert guest or survivor trusting you with some personal information. I just do not communicate the same, right? Especially from somebody who's trying to provoke you. Same man, again, different circumstances. And maturity isn't changing who I am. It depends on who's in the room. It's me knowing how to communicate who I am so the room has no choice but to receive me. You feel me? It's not my way, it's just my opinion. I see my man Big Chuck. Talk to me, Big Chuck. Big Chuck says, facts, it took me some time and the right people and partner to help me with my growth. Hey, hey homie, let me tell you something. This is what I want for you and me and everybody else listening to this. Keep living. Them challenges don't go nowhere, bro. They just don't get the attention. And that's the growth in you, right? So that goes back to what I was saying to you earlier, that I know that you being the man you are and me knowing you to be the man that you are, how you can appreciate some of this dialogue because of the man you have become, right? I mean, I didn't know you when you was a young jit, but my discernment skills and conversations can put two and two together, especially when they have a commonality with my own, you know. But I'm a gentle guy. uh, like I said, man, it's not my way, it's just my opinion. And this is the dope part, Big Chuck, Godfather. I don't know what happened to DJ. She burnt out on us. Young Hammer, you with me, guys? Uh, this is the dope part about it all. Um, you can agree to disagree, right? Not every disagreement needs to be 7-round fight. Not every text requires a response. And you don't need to admit that you're right. Sometimes it's not even worth it. Right? You don't have to agree with my assessment on how I govern myself. Right? Especially when it's according to what I see. Right? It's like me, you can't tell me how to function once my eyes don't deceive me on somebody or something else. It's never gonna happen. I'm not influenced by the necessity of validation of being wrong with somebody. Get the out of here. I don't need you for that. I'm cool standing. These are size 13 and men. You feel me? And I'm good with that. And there's 1 foot per shoe. Over there. I don't need to be right, but you're not going to tell me that you don't rock with me because my assessment of how you function ain't to your liking. But to your liking don't govern how I doesn't allow me to be governed by you. I govern me. And it's based off what I know. What I observe, what I learn. And it's cool. If you don't like it, we can have a dialogue. That's about as far as you want it to go. For sure. Because I'm going to govern myself accordingly. Because at the end of the day, how I look like telling Lady Eastwood or my sister or my children, mama, anybody else that I'll let the version of me come out that you wanted to come out. Crazy work. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. When I tell you my best friend is in the building, Roots and Raps. Michelle Draper. Y'all give it up. Round of applause. MD, what's good with you, baby? We just talking our talk. We just talking our talk, MD. For sure. So now we understand, right? Like, what did the flyer mean, right? Let's talk, man. To ... I never wanted to fill in the ... because the conversation can go to or through so many people, right? Man to man, man to woman, man to wife, wife to husband, friend, co-worker, best friend, stranger, all that. It's dialogue. It's the they're out. They are the dot dot dots. Who is dot dot dot? Fill it in. Matter of fact, you put yourself first. Let's talk woman to dot dot dot. Right? Let's talk man to dot 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 and fill it in. And I challenge you to ask yourself, whether it be husband, wife, significant other, kid, child, co-worker, boss, cashier, what changes? Which one of them gets the opportunity to dictate how you govern yourself? Mm. If you spent your entire conversation deciding, or if you spent this entire conversation deciding on who wanted to hear it without putting yourself first in them dots, then maybe you missed the whole point. Mm. I don't know. Again, growth doesn't deny the old you existed. It just doesn't it growth doesn't allow you to want to exist in that space anymore. Because the new you or the older you or the mature you understands that something comes along with being the old you, the old version of you. Let me see what MD said. MD said she finds it funny when my sisters say, I need a brand that brings out the feminine in me. Like, what? So MD, so dig, right? Mm. I'm glad you had that perspective because what the does that mean? Like, what the beep does that mean? I mean, yo, you see the way I just did that clip I, not AI, inserted the beep over the cuss word. Yeah, yeah. So MD, like, what does that mean? Like, how does a man bring the femininity out of a woman, right? So if I wanted to be on some real, and I don't subscribe to that alpha male stuff, but if I'm going to be on my man time, how does a man teach a woman how to be a woman? Huh? T Dub, what's cracking? Y'all know what it is, cuz. How does a man teach a woman? You can, a man, I gotta be careful what I say here. This is PG-13. A man can assist a woman in feeling good about being a woman, and she can let her feminine ways come out that are already within her, right? And I don't just mean from a physical standpoint, right? But his physical aura out the gate is what's gonna inspire her to be attentive to what he is presenting, right? So you ain't got to piss on the tree to be the biggest dog in the yard on me, right? I don't need to cock my leg up to let you know who I am. Hold on. Let me, okay, see, hey, T-Dub, you almost got me. You almost got me. The old me would have been a little more assertive to your comment. What do you mean by playing his role? Let me not look into that, right? Because that can be mistaken. MD says, right, you are either are or you aren't with or without the man. Ah. So now I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you, MD. Like we said before, right? Every male is not a man, and every female is not a woman. You just were born in that specific gender. A man wants a woman wants a man. I'm not disregarding any of that other stuff that's going on in society. I'm talking about in a heterosexual relationship, a man wants a woman and a woman wants a man. Physically, immaturely, a female wants a male and a male wants a female, and then they do that dumb, and then that's where you get the consequences that come through that dumb contact, right? But a woman knows who she is, right? And a man knows who he is in that moment, right? But this is another fact though. Let's just say man meets woman, woman meets man, they bond. Let's say the year is 2020. In 2026, 2020 man and 2020 woman aren't the same person. So now 2026 man and 2026 woman have to have the ability to keep on reinvesting into that new person, right? Their growth has to be reciprocal in as far as effort and understanding. I promise you, I ain't the same dude I was in 2020. Bless her heart for being here with a goon. Woo. Yeah, right. I don't know. Hey, but back to you, right? Playing his role, right? See, this is what I need you to understand. This is not my way, just my opinion. Hold on, she says, but if a man is not a man that can guide or lead, he has to be willing to be led. I'm gonna translate that. If a man, he has to be. So okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down, but going off what you said, right? Going off what you said he has to play his role. If he's playing his role, then you're right. He is being led because he's just playing. But if he's serious about his role as a man in that situationship, because I don't want to put a definition on what their understanding is, but in that situationship, if he's the man, he's not gonna be led. No, he's gonna be at the tip of that spear. That doesn't mean he's the boss. Don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean he's running shit. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is that man is going to let that woman know that it's okay for you to be the woman because I am the man. With humility. That doesn't mean he got an ego or it's his way or no way and he's running it. No, he's a man. He don't gotta say it. He has the ability to effectively communicate with this woman, and they have an exchange, which is communicating on how things are going to function. And once that conversation is had, then boom, let's get active. T Dub says, but when you say that he leaves the room for a woman to be a woman, huh? I can be soft when I don't have to be hard or handle everything. Check this out, right? Good. I'm glad that you had that ability. Because if he's a man, he ain't always going to be at home. He's not always going to be home. He's going to be out doing man things. Taking his ass to work. Cutting the grass. Whatever. It don't have to be that way. He don't have to be around you, not you in particular. He doesn't have to be in your midst for the woman to exist, right? Because the relationship is based off of something that has to do called trust. So I don't need to be worried about what's going on when you're not in my vision, right? I don't need to be worried about none of that. I have a concern for your safety and your well-being as your man, as a man. That part there don't change. And she has the comfort as being a woman and my woman that if she picks that phone up, that she understands what's coming with it if she's in distress. There's going to be a series of questions that come in. One, are you? Are you okay? Can you hold down your position till I get there? And when I get there, get on, because you ain't got to be a witness to nothing that you call me about. Period. And T-Dub says everything you're saying depends on communication. Ain't no doubt about it. That's man-woman time, not male-female. Not female-male. We're talking about man and woman. Dig what I'm saying? And see, so now we go talk. You kind of. I'm glad. I'm glad we had that dialogue, T-Dub, MD, and it led me right to my next point. Right, same man, different circumstances. Right, maturity isn't changing who I am depending on who's in the room. It's knowing how to communicate who I am so the room can understand what's cracking. Period. Right? We got this thing in our family. And it took me a long time to understand it, right? Because I felt like they was trying to dictate how I communicate. It took me a long time to figure it out, this read the room thing. And reading the room allows you to have the version of you that you want to be received. And I have to admit that, right? And I have to admit it so much that I can't omit it. Because I understand that sometimes my aura can be misreceived. And sometimes it can be intentional. But I'm working on that. All right. And it goes back to not having to win. And I don't need to win. I don't need to win the argument. I don't even need the energy. I don't need to match energy like we stated in the beginning, right? I don't need for you to agree with my assessment of how things is going on. I'm going to govern myself. That's period. That's all it is. Excuse me. It's like this, right? Everything we talked about, it's not my way, it's just my opinion. Gray beards matter where we are the mature authority. I get it, let's talk. Excuse me, man two or a woman two. Same message, different delivery. Don't let your reaction become the history of the conversation. Dictate that. Remember, two things can be true at the same time. And the biggest question before we get to the comments is, who did you put first after those dots? And if it wasn't you, why not? My man Big Chuck says, let me go back to what MD. I like this here for sure. T-Dub said, facts, I don't mean around me when I say the roles. I mean being a man. Everything you're saying is correct, but it's not common. Common. Unfortunately, none of life is common anymore, in my opinion. Right? What's common is to see the uncommon. What's common is to see the unreal, right? The false understandings of what people think other people want to see, right? It's that bull s human algorithm that people pick up from social medias, gossip, rumors, sitting back watching how other people talk about other people, and they don't want to be them, so they try to present themselves to be who that group of people we're talking about, just the opposite of, right? That's what's common. That's the right ain't always common. It's not always seen, because a lot of times people are too coward to stand on what they believe in, right? My man Big Chuck says communication is key, especially in my case because I'm on the road so much. She handles a lot while I'm gone, but when I'm home, I try to do all I can to help her so she can relax and take a load off her shoulder. That's man time, Big Chuck, for sure. And see, this is what I'm confident in your house, right? Um, your wife knows that when you on that road, you're not just out there BS. You're not just being active. You're being productive. You're sending that bread to the crib in the shows because it gets there, right? And you don't just come home with like for 2, 3, 4 days or a week, whatever, and you're just sitting in your chair with your boots off. All right, I'm gonna come home day one. Let me relax, catch a deep breath, see what's going on with the family, check around the crib, wrestle a little bit with mama. All right, cool. Waking up first thing the next morning before the roosters get to working. What's cracking? On my man time now, for sure. T Dub says I still struggle with reading the room and things at times, for sure. Me too. Me too. But the more I read the room, the more I can figure out how I give out what version of me I want. Right. So I'm under the belief that's here, right? And then I'm gonna get on up out of here. I don't believe that the Hawk is my guy, one of my favorite cartoon characters, but the Hawk is a result of what we talked about earlier, right? The Hawk is the result of him letting somebody else dictate which version of him comes out. So I try to be the David Banner all the times. But if the Hawk comes out, then shoot, it's not my way, it's just my opinion. And that's what it is, man. We done talked y'all ear off, man, about 50 minutes, man. We had some great dialogue. Again, I want to say thank you, man, for tuning in. It's going to be on Facebook for like 30 days, but please go to the Gray Beards Matter page and like, share, subscribe. Oh, man, I ain't realized it, man. I really wanted to. We had 96 subscribers, yo. The goal is 100. We need you 4 more. So if you on this junk and you ain't been to the Gray Beards Matter YouTube page, hey, why not? What's to you? Man, get on over there. It's so close to 100. When we get to 100, man. I promise you, we gonna party because it's been a goal, um, and it's cool. I can't wait. I'm giving out gifts to whoever the 100 subscriber is, if I can tell, and then we're gonna do a raffle for the all the names in the 100. If you was I don't know, hey, Miss Drummond was the first 50. She ain't never get her joint, so hey, I'm gonna do 2 of them. Yo, T Dub says, be blessed, great session to learn some things. Thank you. Yo, you already know what it is. T Dub, I appreciate you tuning in. Hey, like I said before, man, these topics, I can't call them random because they come, right? And they take uh, great effort and thought in going into them. And when that happens, I find myself being as much as a beneficiary as I would love for them to come across as being, right? So when I know, man, y'all know what it is. It's the Gray Beards Matter Podcast, episode 31, where we are the mature authority. Title A, let's talk, man, to ... Again, this episode is dedicated to my Uncle Sidney. Deepest condolences, man. I appreciate you for everything that you've done in my life. It's not about the years, it's about the impact that you made on me. Sincerest and deepest condolences to the Jones family. Aunt Sam, Uncle Rob, Mama, Uncle Butch, me, Shannon, Tish, Pat. Y'all know what it is. Love y'all. Great Beards Matter Podcast, and we out.